Hello, and welcome back to Satisfactory Outpost in the Desert. There was another patch this morning, one that added the hypertube wall attachments to the correct tier. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to unlock that. Let's get our remaining coupons here. Add those to the cart. Excellent. I think they added a few more foundations. An inverted ramp pack. This is pretty cool. Just different heights for all of the inverted rams and some corner options. Why not? Now let's go back to the steel outpost. And let's start out by checking out these hypertube wall attachments. In the last episode, we finished setting up all of the smelters for iron ingots that will feed our steel foundries. All right, maybe we should be outside for this. Let's put up. I guess we're gonna use windows, right? Let's see how it looks. We may want to change this. Maybe the single window will be better for these. Alright. Oh man, it's really... I guess we're just gonna have to guess in the alignment. Yeah, that looks good. Alright, can't get through that. Those windows. There we go. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Transportation, hypertube. Hook it up. Alright. Cool. So now it's coming through the wall. Factory is completely sealed off. Love it. I wonder, just out of curiosity, if you could add... Oh. You can? I like that even more. So we can add a hypertube entrance to the port in the wall. Power it up. I guess we should use the other side of the power thing, just so there's no clipping. Okay, let's add our wall one more time here. Oh yeah, that's great. I love it. Let's turn around in the hypertube here. Oh, cool. That makes me think, well, we'll think about it. Maybe we want to have all of our hypertube entrances coming out of walls now, just a cleaner look inside the factory. We don't actually have the tubes themselves within the factory. We can think about that. But for now, second floor. This is where our foundries will go. Now we've got a little bit of a I guess some math to do here, because we'll have three coal miners, 3 coal nodes feeding our foundries up here, and 2 belts of iron ingots. So if we look directly below, there are... Oh, those are the iron ore. Okay, so we've got 1 belt of iron ingots here, and another belt right here. And now we need to get our 3 belts of coal up here. So let's take a look here. Let's remove this wall segment for iron, and this for iron. Oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3, that worked out perfectly for our 3 coal belts. If we want to have them separately, well, we could have them all, you know, all in the center with a 3-window wall section. But let's plan out how this is going to go. Man, I love these windows. These are great. Okay, so a few days ago, whenever I had planned this, I've kind of forgotten what I had intended now. I had the foundries all facing inward, so they'll output inward. Okay, I see. And the belts will be moved up as they become fully condensed. So obviously, one iron belt will feed, you know, one full row of foundries, and the other iron belt will feed the other row. And you know, our windows are set up really well for that. In fact, we can just go ahead and put, you know, let's use the 2-window belt just because it's going to be better aligned. The 2-window and the 3-window belt are the same placement. Just FYI. Let's see if, you know, that's actually going to be too close. Yeah. Because we're using foundries, you need a little space because you have to use, you know, the stackable pole system. So we may as well use the single window because we're going to have to move it anyway. Move the belt to the side a little bit. So let's go downstairs and just take a look at our coal nodes and see where we want to put them. I see. I used the foundations here instead of the glass because there's nothing underneath. Like this is the overlap, or not the overlap. It's like the overhang where it extends out farther than the base of the outpost. Okay. I believe those are the materials I stored there that I'll need for the foundries. I'm just gonna go ahead and put 2 more down so I can dump my inventory if I need to. Okay. So I guess the first thing we can do is we can put our lifts for the iron. Yeah. Single window walls, I guess. Just so we don't have the empty window. I think that's better than having, you know, I don't mind if the belt is not completely straight, if it, you know, bends a little bit, that's fine. I think that still looks better than having the empty window. Now, okay, let's do a little math. We have 36 foundries. I know that much. Each foundry needs 40 coal per minute, right? Like, let's put down a foundry and look. Using the recipe that we're using. So we're using solid steel ingot, 40 coal, 40 iron ingots per minute. So we've got 36 times 40. That's 1,440 of each per minute to feed all 36 foundries. But, you know, it's too much for a Mark V belt, but if you divide it by 2, you get 720, and that's fine for a Mark V belt. So, let's consider the output for our coal miners here, because these are normal nodes, not pure nodes. So a Mark III miner on a normal node with 3 power shards can output 600 items per minute, right? It's 240 times 2.5. 600, sure. We don't need 600. We only need to get 2 belts worth of, 720 each. So the best way to do that, like obviously we can't just use 2 miners because we only get 600, and that's not 720. So we probably won't need to overclock at all. Let's just, or at least not overclock to the max amount, right? Let's consider not overclocking. Is that going to get us to 1440? No. 240 times 3, that's 720. So it seems like if we know that it's 720, right, we'll overclock each one with 2 power shards. So that would be 240 at 200% is going to be 480 times 3 is 1440, exactly what we need. So it looks like all we have to do here is devote 1 miner to one side of the foundries, a second miner to the other side of the foundries, and then a third miner will have a merger that will feed both lines equally. Easy enough, I think. And the question is, do we merge it down here or do we merge it up there? I think we merge it down here. That means less total belts to lay down, right? So let's use these outer 2 miners as the miners that will feed the rows themselves. Let's just change the orientation a little bit there. I should also add that in the update today, they're making more changes about the fauna respawn, and they think now that fauna that are within range of your buildings will not respawn once they've been killed. But in making that change, all of the nearby fauna did respawn one more time. So you may see me clear some fauna that you'd see me kill already. Anyway, we'll have this miner and this miner supplying their own rows, and this miner that's kind of in the center of them will merge onto each line. So let's set that up here. Just want to avoid the clipping. That's good. And this miner we'll belt over here. And let's grab our third. All right. Ideally we'd have some foundations here so we could do this in a nice looking way, but again, we're not really concerned with how the belts look on the ground, below the outpost. From the miner to the lifts, it's not a huge concern for me. Within the outpost, that's totally separate. We definitely want those to look great. So we need a splitter here. Let's get them down to the sand, just so they're relatively on the same level. Okay. We'll extend the outer belts a little bit. Looks like these aren't powered. Let's take care of that. Got a little power nub right here. Really like those attachments. And we'll just use it to power both of these. Obviously, most of our factory is not running. It's on basically on standby now as you know, all of the storage containers are filled. Okay, we're making coal. Alright, excellent. So we'll put a splitter here. Now you can just put the splitter directly on the end of the belts, which is super nice. Can we get a merger? Kind of close here, maybe a little tough. Oh, that works. And let's put up another merger. It's gonna be an issue because of that conveyor pole. Let's put our conveyor pole back here. Need to move a little faster. Okay, splitter. Okay. And a merger here. Alright. So now this line will completely merge into those two. Something to consider right now, it's not going to have any effect at all because using Mark III belts, you know, these are already fully saturated from, well, I guess they're not because they don't have any power shards in there. Right now, you know, these are only producing 120 items per minute. But, you know, they really need to be power sharded twice. Power sharded? Whatever. Twice in order to reach their capacity. Now that we've got two belts here, let's take a look at where we want them to go. There's a alpha hog. Okay. So our iron is coming out here. Going up to the third floor. Same over here. So where do we want the coal to go? We're only having two lines. You know what? We could just use a double window and put the coal right next to the iron. Let's do that. I like that idea. Walls. Wall conveyor times 2. Okay. Now we'll have a window here. Or we'll go into the outside window here because that more closely aligns with our splitters. Then we'll come outside, hook those up. Did I replace those? No. Okay. So these are our iron ingots. Now let's just add some walls down here. This will be another 2 conveyor wall. This is just for aesthetics. Okay. Walls. Let's see how far down that is. Nope, too far. Okay. And this guy. It doesn't really matter which window they go to. Okay, now remember our iron ingots are on the outside, so the coal will need to go on the inside. Okay. Now we'll add some lifts. Okay, looks good. Let's put our windows back and head to the second floor. Probably gonna need some materials here, but let's see what we've got. So I've already put up the first row of foundries. It's 3 groups of 6, and I did that because of their outputs and the belt capacity, right? So they each put out 60 per minute. So a row of 6 on this side, a row of 6 on this side, that's 12. And 12 times 60 is 720. Any more than that, another pair would go over the 780 limit of Mark V belts. So let's, put down the rest of our foundries. We're gonna need these. We're gonna need concrete. We're gonna need rotors. We're gonna need belts. We need several more. Okay. This might be enough. We'll see. Let's see where we're at. Okay, 6 more. All right. Let's set up our recipes. I'm not sure if I selected these or not. Okay, looks good. Now let's see how far back we need to make this work. And I mean, to avoid the belt is too steep error. Another thing they did on the update today was they allegedly increased the belt length, the maximum belt length, back to what it was before update 3. Let's test that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before, 6 foundations was the length for belts. And not 5. Alright, excellent. Now let's see if this is far enough back. Let's just put a splitter here. Let's put this in our hotbar, because we're going to need this. And we're fine. Okay, great. So now we just put, we'll put iron on the, let's put iron on the bottom. Iron on the bottom, coal on the top. Cool. Let's see how many spaces that was, or if we need to check here. Yeah. This is 6. Can't use 6 because it would block the input, but it's good to know that we can go the full 6 again. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can't use it. It's too far. 5 is good. Oh, we're out of concrete. Let's grab some more. Hopefully that's enough. Okay. Okay, great. What do we do here? We did coal on top. Yep. Coal on top. Iron on the bottom. Between episodes, I was scouting the location for the crystal outpost, which will be the next outpost. And we need a crystal outpost because crystal oscillators are needed for the alternate motor recipe, and the alternate motor recipe saves you just a ton of resources. And, I mean, a ton of steel, really, and a lot of wire as well. I think it's totally worth doing. But that means setting up a crystal outpost. And there's a spot significantly far away. It's like just outside of the desert. There are only 2 crystal nodes within this desert biome. They're up to the north, near the 2 pure coal nodes. They're just beyond those nodes, and it's within the desert. The nodes are only 2 pure normal. That's not enough. That's not enough to meet your in-game needs for crystal, because you need quartz crystals for crystal oscillators and everything that they go into, which is more than you would think if you're using alternate recipes. And also, you need the quartz for silica to make many things if you're using alternate recipes, and even if you're not, then you need the silica for aluminum to make your Mark V belts and heat sinks and turbo motors, etc. So two normal nodes is just not enough. But to the south, there's a cluster pretty close together of 6 normal nodes of quartz, and I think that will be enough to meet the late game needs. But it's really far away, so it'll be a really good example of how well this outpost system can work over the distances there, when we're using trucks or trains or whatever to transport those crystal oscillators from that outpost to, the other outposts where they need to be used. So this is the first belt, where the steel ingots will be output to. And these will almost completely saturate this, so we're going to move it up here. And this next group of 12 will again output to the lower belt. And this saturated belt will just kind of, travel above it. Come on, there we go. And now we move both up. And same thing, this last group of 12 will output to the lower belt. So this is a cool system. Each of these belts will eventually have 720 steel ingots per minute. So that's like, what, 2,160? Whoa. Ingots per minute total. And that, believe it or not, that doesn't supply a ton of constructors. I think it's only like 48 constructors. I wrote it down somewhere. Yeah, 24 making pipes, 24 making beams. That's what I decided on. Again, they change a lot of the ratios, especially in the alternate recipes, so steel beams, I think, are actually going to be much more necessary now than they were in Update 2. In Update 2, after a certain point, after you were no longer using steel beams for your Mark III belts, then, there's no real reason to use steel beams for any part. You would need them for a few things, like the railways are made of steel beams, but aside from that, you didn't need a lot of production of steel beams. And in Update 2, I usually converted almost all of my steel ingot output to pipes, but that's no longer the case. In Update 3, you can actually make more encased industrial beams per minute from a single assembler with steel beams than you can with steel pipes. Steel pipes is the alternate recipe. The difference is that the alternate recipe uses just a little less steel per encased industrial beam, but the production rate is lower. It's like steel beams will give you 6 encased industrial beams per minute, and using steel pipes you only get 4 per minute. So I'm going to stick with steel beams because they're also used in one of the new space elevator parts that we're going to have to automate before too long here, called the versatile frameworks. So their consumption rate in Update 3 definitely seems like it's greater than in Update 2. And with steel, even using this more efficient recipe for steel ingots, using the iron ingots instead of iron ore, one steel foundry can supply one constructor making steel beams. One steel foundry using this recipe for steel beams, or I'm sorry, for steel ingots, can supply 2 constructors making steel pipes. So a foundry can supply twice as many constructors making steel pipes as they could making steel beams. So even though we're making 24 constructors for each material, actually 2/3 of our steel ingots will be going to steel beams, and only 1/3 to steel pipes. But because the production rates are different, even though we have twice as many steel ingots going to make steel beams, we're still making what is that, like 33% more steel pipes than steel beams every minute. It'll be like 480 steel pipes per minute versus 360 steel beams. But I'm hopeful that 480 and 360 will be enough to get us through. the end game. I think it will be, especially using the alternate recipe for motors, using crystal oscillators. That's going to go a long way. Like, one of the biggest draws for steel pipes is we're using the alternate rotor recipe, and I think we're going to use the default stator recipe, not the alternate recipe that uses quick wire, because we don't have a quick wire outpost set up yet, and honestly, I'm ready to be out of tiers 3 and 4. So we've got, after this outpost, this steel outpost, we've got 2 more outposts. It's going to be a crystal outpost, which will be, moderately big. We have to take the crystal, convert it into both. I'm sorry, we have to take the quartz and refine it into both crystal and silica. And I haven't worked out those ratios yet. And then we have to take the crystal and turn that into crystal oscillators. And that will require transporting cable from our copper factory all the way to the crystal outpost, and reinforced iron plates from the iron outpost all the way to the crystal outpost. So that'll be fun. That'll be the first case where we see products moving from one outpost to another. And then the motor outpost will be fairly small. We don't need a lot of room to make rotors and stators and motors, because that just won't be that many assemblers. Oh, I just had a thought. We can't even use the alternate recipe for motors right now. That's a 3-item recipe. That would mean using a manufacturer. We don't have the ability to make manufacturers. So, okay, scratch the crystal factory for now. After the steel factory, we'll just make the motor factory, the small motor factory. And then we'll be set for unlocking the next tiers. Okay. Merging, outputting this way. Foundries, oh, that's right, my bad. Foundries are weird because their output is not centered, it's offset. So what we need to do is, this is the center line for the foundry. The center line does not align with the output, it aligns with the center of the foundry. Okay. I really didn't need to put down that lower belt yet, but that's fine. This is just going to make sure that I'm really well aligned here. Uh-oh, it's troubling. Okay, there we go. Just make sure that your upper merger isn't swapping its orientation before you click it down. Okay. Now we'll connect these mergers. And we'll know that they're completely centered between the outputs. Okay. Same thing here. They did mention that there were a few performance issues introduced in yesterday's patch, and I'm not sure if it's coming through on the recording, but the game is hitching significantly more than it was last week. But I'm confident they will find and resolve that issue soon. Alright. Now we'll use Mark 1 belts. And you can see it when it's centered, it will reach both sides, both rows of foundries. So after we get these foundries set up, we need to move up to the top floor here, the third floor, and we'll set up our 48 constructors. We're not going to get that all done this episode, but hopefully we'll get a start on it. It's just, 24 for pipes, 24 for beams. It's 12 on each side. It'll be super easy. And then the next episode, we'll finish up those constructors, and then we need to head back to, what direction is that, the north? To the north, to our coal generators, and basically double our power output. Because we are really towing the line here for what we can do with this amount of power. And then once the power is set up, or doubled, we can make our tiny motor factory. And then all we need to do is automate the production of the space elevator parts. Like, we need smart plating again. That's what we use to unlock tiers 3 and 4. And we also need to automate versatile frameworks, which are made of, I want to say it's steel beams and modular frames. And then also the automated wiring, which is weird. It's somehow made from stators and cable. Like, I couldn't imagine how that would work, but, you know, that's what you need. And then basically we just let those run for like an hour. You know, we're not going to make a ton of assemblers, like maybe like 2 or probably no more than 2 assemblers for, you know, each of those parts. 3 tops. And you know, basically those assemblers run for an hour, and then we can unlock tiers 5 and 6. I need some plates. Is that all the plates? Okay, excellent. How much of this stuff can I hold right now? Can I get it all? Oh, we got most of it. Delete those. Okay, great. I would say rather than just, you know, chilling while the assemblers pump out those space elevator parts, maybe we get a jump on the Caterium outpost, because that's going to be a big thing in the next tiers 5 and 6. We're going to need a lot of computers. So the Caterium outpost may also be like an electronics outpost, I'm not sure. The Caterium outpost, we could just make like a giant outpost near the Caterium, and, you know, not only make our Caterium ingots and our quick wire there, but also everything that's kind of in the electronic category. So high-speed connectors, AI limiters, computers, maybe even supercomputers. You know, if we're making everything else there, make supercomputers there too. That makes sense. That would be a large outpost and a fun one. Okay, all of our belts are connected. Let's go grab some power. And then we need to think about how many of these we can supply right now. You know, our outer belts are limited to 240. I mean, all of our belts are. But 240 at... Actually, I think we need to consider the inner belts, right? Because this is a weird case where the output is greater than the input. So 60 per minute, 240. That's only 4 foundries. You know, I guess technically it's 4 foundries for each cluster. So let's do that. Let's just put all of our power poles down first. Three, 4, should be 6. Because we have a power pole out here in front. Okay, so those 4 will be powered. These 4 are powered. And these are all output into different belts, like each cluster to a different belt, so it's fine. Okay. Alright. Now we should see ingots on these belts. Here they come. Okay, great. Now these three all need to go up to the next floor. I think we're going to use 3 windows. Walls. It's weird. Okay. Oh, I haven't set up a hypertube to the next floor yet. Oops. Not a gate, a window. And let's see if we can line that up with a wall hole here, like that. Grab some hypertubes. We're going to want to use the vertical build mode for obvious reasons. And voila! Let's put our window back up. One thing we will need, we'll need 4 more encased industrial beams. I don't have any here, right? Sadly, no. Okay. Okay. Encased industrial beams. Are we low on any material here? Plenty of pipes, plenty of cable. Enough rods. More than enough wire. Yep, okay, we're fine. Excellent. Let's put our hypertube entrance here. I like the way that looks a lot. We'll need a wall above it. Just put a few more so we don't accidentally fall off here. We'll need a little power nub. It's actually lower. Usually goes right there. I don't like the way that clips. We'll connect this on the outside. Let's add a power node down there as well. Up one more. Okay. Alright, look at that. Great. So now this is connected to the power grid. Okay, well I guess we're out of time. But start the next episode, we'll quickly pick up here, putting down our constructors. Is this enough room for 48 constructors? Yeah, just barely enough room. Okay, cool. So we'll put down our constructors here in the next episode, and then we're going to head back over. You can almost see it from here. It's kind of blocked by the copper outpost there, to the smokestacks in the far north to expand our power grid. So thanks for watching, everyone. All, like 4 of you. Really appreciate it. I'm loving this Outpost series, and I think it's only going to get a lot better once we start transporting the items between the outposts. So hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and keep pounding that like button. I appreciate it. See you guys in the next episode.